Good morning, ladies. Welcome to Tween Talk Live. When was the last time your tween cleaned their room? What a question. Let's just get right to it. When was the last time your tween cleaned their room? Think back. Maybe it was a long time ago. Maybe you've been nagging them to get it done. It's just not getting done. You're ready to pull your hair out. There might have been raised voices. You might have had to remind them a lot. No judgment at all. I get it. I've been there, and I'm here to share a method that has eliminated the gazillion reminders, the frustration, the stress. It's what worked for me and my daughters. It worked when they were their tweens. It still works now, and now they have taken ownership of that. So that is one aspect that you're going to be able to use this method with. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Like I said, it worked for me. I hope it works for you too. Stay to the end. You're going to see the whole system, see how it works. Super simple, and it can be a game changer for you. Hi, I am Marina Gabor, founder of Tween Talk, empowering moms to raise independent kids, and the Life Skills Club that is opening September 8th. I cannot believe it's almost here, September 8th. If you need to know exactly how you can be a founding member for a crazy deal, super crazy, $3 a month. That's the founding member rate. After that, it goes up. But if you get in at $3 a month, stays like that as long as you stay. So I have homeschooled my daughters for over 10 years, right through those tween years. I have one graduated, two not far behind. And I've been working with tweens in different capacities almost since the day I left my tween years and hit the teen years. But the one thing that I've noticed, and that has been true with all of the tweens that I have worked with, is the one thing they want most is independence. They want to be taken seriously. They want to be independent. And the cool thing is, they still are open to hearing what you have to say. So they've gone through that childhood where you're telling them what to do and all of that stuff. They hit the tweens. They still want to know what you think, but they also want to spread their wings. So there's a little bit of that tension of they want to hear what you have to say, but they want to do their own thing. So thinking about all these things through the tween years, and it's sort of this forgotten age. So that's why I'm opening up the Life Skills Club to bring tweens together to learn these core life skills in a fun way. You think, what core life skills are they going to learn? So this is not, how to change a tire, bake a cake, balance a checkbook if you still have a checkbook, budget, those kind of things. It's the foundation for all of that. So it's critical thinking skills, communication skills, getting organized. 3 foundational things that if they learn those, it's going to make the teen years much easier. And beyond. If you cannot wait to find out more, go to lifeskills.club and you can see how your tween can become a founding member, again, for only $3. So right now, we're going to talk about how you can not have to remind your tween so much about chores, whether it's cleaning their room, whether it's doing the laundry, whether it's something else. How can we make this happen without all the reminders? We're going to talk about this thing called micro routines. Micro routines. I've been using these for a long time with my daughters. I know they work, and I hope they'll work for you too. So does your tween get overwhelmed with the mess in their room? I know I've been there, my tweens, that, their room gets to a certain stage, and then it's like they just can't handle it anymore. It is just overwhelming, completely overwhelming. So the first thing we want to do is minimize the overwhelm. Now, this might mean that we come in, we have to help them, we have to reset, get to zero, and then think about how can we create a routine that's going to help them stay on top of things. I'm going to show you about that in a bit. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to keep it small, like a 5-minute tidy. Use a timer so you don't have to go over that. 5 minutes. They're going to keep it tidy. It's such a small period of time that they can't fail. Like even if they only pick up their clothes, throw them in the hamper, it's a win. Now, I know there's a bunch of stuff floating around about how making your bed sets up for a better day. And if you expect, just expect the minimum. Maybe they have a duvet, it's moderately smooth on the bed, it's a win. They've done something. And every time they go in their room, they'll see, oh yeah, I made my bed. It's this subconscious reminder. Or when they finish their schoolwork, they set a timer for 5 minutes, then they clean up their stuff. This is hinting at these micro routines. I'm going to show you how to set them up in a bit. The key is super short. The second thing is we want to establish consistency. So every day after they do a certain thing, you attach it to another activity to make it easier to remember. James Clear calls this habit stacking. And while I believe more in routines than habits, the principles are the same. For example, if you want them to put their clothes in the hamper instead of on the floor, then tie that action to something they're already doing. Make it ridiculously easy to succeed. For example, get a hamper without a lid or leave the lid open. They literally only need to toss their clothes into the hamper. They don't even have to open it. Then go one step further. Where do they usually get undressed? Have the hamper set up within tossing distance. So they see it, and then they make a game out of it where they can toss it without missing. Third thing, we want to build momentum. So by doing 5 minutes a day, over time, they'll want to do more because they like the result. But even if they don't, over time, that 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, it's going to add up, this compound effect, which will lead to bigger results. They'll become the kind of person that takes care of those little things that make the big difference. They'll start to notice when it's not done. It will bug them, and then they'll do it. It's a process. A word of warning. Just like life, there's ebb and there's flow. And if you've got more than one child, think back to when you brought your second baby home. Did your first child regress a bit? They wanted attention. They had to figure out the new dynamic. It's kind of like that when you introduce new things. The things that are established, that you've been consistent with, they all of a sudden seem to fall apart, and you're going what is happening? We were doing this. We were on such a good roll. What happened? Well, you introduce something new. So now everybody has to figure out, okay, well, how does that play into what we're currently doing? So just prepare for that to happen. The hard work is not for nothing. Things will settle in, and then that old skill will continue and the new skill will come alongside it. They're leveling up. We want to keep that momentum going. That's how we build this independence. So they can do more of what they want to do, and they can start to trust, and you can start to trust they're going to do the right thing at the right time. So now let's figure out, how are we going to build these micro routines? How are we going to build these micro routines? Well, step one, we're going to figure out what is it that is the most irritating thing, the point of tension, the thing where there's the most angst, the most yelling or nagging, or what is causing that primary stress point. Because we want to create a micro routine around that, and then we can eliminate it. Is it doing their chores? Maybe they have to feed the dog. Maybe it's doing the laundry. Maybe it is that you just want them to make their bed. Whatever it is, we're going to create a micro routine around it. So we want to pinpoint that area that is causing the biggest problem. The thing that is causing the biggest problem. And then we want to say, okay, so how do we, what actions do we need to take to accomplish the task that's going to eliminate that problem? Now, it can only be something that's 3 to 5 things 3 to 5 steps. So if you think, okay, it just drives me bonkers when they don't have their bed made. Okay, so what are the steps that need to happen in order for that bed to be made every day? They need to actually be in their room. They need to have the time to do it. We need to understand what is expected, like how smooth does the blanket need to be? Do the pillows need to be on top? Are there decorative pillows? Or is it simply like, let's throw the duvet on, we're good to go? What is the standard? Okay, so you need to know. And then we think, okay, so now we know 3 steps. We need to be in the room. We need to have the time. We're going to like throw the duvet over. Great. And then we need to know when is this going to happen? Now, based on the previous experience of the frustration and the reminders going on, this isn't happening. So we need to pair it with something that happens already. So what is something that your tween does every single day? Okay, they get up, they go to the washroom, they come back to the room to get dressed. All right, we could pair it with that. So we think, okay, so as soon as you've gotten dressed, but even more specific than that, as soon as they put their pants on, they make their bed. You can make it that specific. And then you're tying those things together. So they think, oh yeah, put my pants on. Oh yeah, I'm going to pull the duvet up and make my bed. So it's a micro routine. And you can pull it up and then you think, okay, well, what if they don't do it? How am I going to make sure they do it? So I walk by their room and I really don't want to see anything. And then I see it's not done. And then it pushes that big red button. Moms, I cannot be the only one that has the big red button. The one where it's just like, that's the pet peeve and it gets pushed and you just get angry. How can you not have that happen? So when you're creating your micro routine, what I discovered is I could have this conversation with my daughters to say, okay, that's great. You're going to get this bed made. You're going to do it as soon as you get your pants on. Excellent. Now, what happens if you don't make it? How would you like me to remind you without reminding you? Because I don't want to nag you. I don't want to bother you about it. Like, you're going to take responsibility for it. But just in case it doesn't get done, how would you like me to remind you? And so then have that conversation. And it could be that you just walk by and go, oh, I love your bed. So you're not telling them, but you're using the word bed, and that's going to trigger their brain. And then it's sort of this game, and it keeps it light, and it doesn't push your buttons, and it doesn't make you frustrated, and then they don't feel nagged. And then they've built that micro routine. Or perhaps it's time for them to start doing their laundry. They're old enough. There is the consequence of if they don't do their laundry, they're going to be wearing stinky clothes. Maybe they're not going to have their soccer uniform clean, and that's really important to them. So they keep forgetting because they haven't learned, they haven't tied it to something else. They haven't created a micro routine. So you go, okay, this is a point of frustration every single week. It's like huge stress on game day because your uniform is not clean. So how can we change that? So you figured out what the stress point is. Now, what are the 3 to 5 steps that they need to take to solve that problem? And then we need to figure out what's the trigger, what's going to get them to start doing that. So for one, we need to make sure the uniform's in there. So how can that happen? After soccer, uniform goes in the hamper. Okay, so now we have a hamper. The hamper's got the clothes in it. Whatever clothes are in the hamper, they're going to get washed. So we take the hamper, go to the washer, throw everything in, put the soap in, turn it on. Then how are we going to remember to get it dried? So washers usually have some sort of a buzzer or a timer. So maybe they're setting the timer throw it in the dryer, good to go. Folding, that's a whole other micro routine. So we're not worried about that right now. We just want to get the things washed and dried. But how are they going to remember to do it? They know the steps. They have the skill. They've got that micro routine, but now we need to, as James Clear calls it, habit stacking, or I like to call it kind of routine stacking. We're chaining it to something else so that there is a reminder that is because of what you're doing already. So then you think, okay, well, when are they going to do their laundry? What day? What happens on that day consistently that would remind them that they need to put their stuff in the washer? So perhaps after they get home from soccer, even though they're super tired, maybe this is reasonable, maybe it's not. You're going to have to talk with your tween. But maybe that's the trigger is, okay, take off my soccer uniform. It's all sweaty. It goes in the hamper. I immediately go and wash it so I know for sure that it's good for the next game. Maybe that's the trigger. But the point is, when you're developing these micro routines, you find that biggest pain point and then create, 3 to 5 steps. How can we create the smallest routine that is going to help us solve that pain point? And then create a trigger to remind. And then also you're going to have that conversation about what if it doesn't get done? What are you going to do? How do they want you to gently nudge them in the right direction? So I hope that this has been helpful. I hope it's given you some ideas of how you can use micro routines to get your tweens to start doing the chores and the things they need to do because they want to be independent. They want to spread their wings, but they need to be taught. So you can discuss these micro routines, figure out the trigger, figure out that, how are you going to remind without reminding? And you'll see they will start to blossom. They will take pride in what they're doing. And you will have less stress, less things on your plate. Now it's more of a game. Are they going to remember, or are you going to have to use like the secret little non-reminder reminder? And then sometimes everything just blows up and it doesn't work out and there's stress. And then you're the parent and you step in and you offer grace and you help them through. And then after the fact, when everything is calmed down, then you reset. And over time, it gets better and better and better. In the Life Skills Club, we are going to be working on building these routines, not only building the routines, but having the tweens start thinking. This is part of that critical thinking when they think, okay, well, what are the problems? How could I solve this problem? Then there's communication. They'll be talking to you saying, hey, Mom, so I know I need to do this. I might forget sometimes. Here's how you can remind me. So they're learning that communication. They're being organized and thinking, okay, I do these tasks. This is what I can connect my micro routine to. It's all part of that empowerment matrix with organization, communication, critical thinking. In the Life Skills Club, because I promised you I would tell you a little bit more about it. So here's that promise. Here I'm keeping that promise. They'll learn about these micro routines in the weekly club meetings. These are live interactive meetings. We're going to have a short life skill lesson and then lots of interactive practice. You are always going to be in the loop. You're going to get an email each week with a short summary, like what did they learn and what's a simple way that you can support them. So if they're learning this micro routine, you're going to get an email saying, hey, here's what they learned, just in case they're not really good at communicating that with you yet. And here's how you can support them. Plus, moms, there's a forum for you to ask questions. get ideas from other moms, and a resource library. Now, the resource library has a ton of reading and writing resources. I was also part of a writing program before. I'm bringing in all of those resources because those are also a big way to help your tween improve their organization, critical thinking, and communication skills. Which brings me to this bonus 7-sentence story workshop every single month. Story writing builds all of those skills. They have to critically think, like, what is happening with the character? How can I solve this problem? They're having to organize their story in a way that makes sense. And of course, the whole thing is communication. What words am I using? How am I getting this idea across? But it's a blast. It's 7 sentences. It's not intimidating. It's fun. Kids always feel good leaving that workshop. They leave with something that they've written, they're full of ideas, and it's a blast. And that's included with that Life Skills Club membership. So before September 8th, founding members rate $3 a month for as long as you'd like. I hope to see you there. And until next time, keep talking to your tween.